Evan Moss.
Brian, I know we had hoped to stop talking about losing streaks, but that's 7 straight in league play. That's only 4 shots in this game. I don't know, where do you sort of go from here, I guess, is the basic question.
Well, where we're gonna go is try and, just get those guys to believe a little bit more, get those guys to be a little bit sharper in training, get them to recover because we got a game on Wednesday. We're gonna keep working, we're gonna watch film, we're gonna try and get 11 healthy players out on the field, and we're gonna continue to try and win games.
Moss.
Yeah, Brian, I know you haven't looked at the film. The effort seems to be there. I'm not going to question that. Is there a need to get more help in the midfield so you get possession?
Sure. I mean, yeah, of course there is. I mean, the 2 kids that started the game, I thought did a good job in the first 25, 30 minutes. Broke their pressure a bunch of times, but we broke their pressure and then nothing was happening ahead of them. So you can't blame the 2 kids. You gotta, once you get the ball past your initial 2 or 3 guys where they were pressing, then we needed our 8s to be in good positions, and then we needed movement ahead of the ball from there into the final third, and then in the final third we needed sometimes a little more patience, sometimes a little more quality. I mean, they scored their goal in the 77th minute. And we can talk about that, the duels that we didn't win higher up the field, and, Tino has a chance to end it, and the guy actually misplays it, knew who keeps him onside, but he misplays it and they score. But before that, Paul puts a ball on the floor to Masowski, that's a goal. Albert has a chance, ball drops to him and he plays Paul early, and we'll drive at him a little bit more. So the 2 pivots ain't the problem, Maz. That ain't the problem.
And I wasn't talking about the pivots. I really meant the same thing you're saying, that beyond the pivots, the 8 and the 2, there seems to be nothing there.
We need more production. That's a fact. We lost 7 in a row, Jeremiah. I get it. Those are the facts. I'm not hiding. I'm not going to hide. But, we're trying to do the best we can with the kids that we're putting out there.
Coach, I'll ask the question about Jesus Ferreira. Any update on him?
Hamstring strain. We'll know more after we get the MRI tomorrow.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, obviously haven't had time to look at the film, but what did you kind of make of that second goal? Kind of looked like a awkward moment, or an awkward moment that led to the set piece.
Of course, it's an awkward moment because no defender should call for the goalkeeper to come and get the ball. Nuhu just needs to clear the ball. End of story.
Okay, Mike's coming around to the other side of the room. We'll go to Nico Moreno next. George, I see you on Zoom. Stand by. Go ahead, Nico.
Coach, just wondering if there's anything that you can get out of this game in a positive matter and the messaging tonight to the guys. And when it comes to the injuries, like, is there anywhere where you sit here tonight and you know where to go from here? I mean, it's got to be extremely frustrating for you to just continue to fall under this plague of injuries.
It is frustrating. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but Jesus is a talented player. So lost another talented player for a while. Other guys are getting closer to come back. The one positive is that they did exactly what the team that played against Chivas did, which is, again, they started out the game on the front foot and they worked and they pressed and we got out of some stuff and we were good for about 30, 35 minutes. And then, then we got a little nervous, started kicking goal kicks a little long, got closer to the half, just wanted to get out of the half, which, okay, fine, fair enough. But then, in the second half, we just didn't have enough quality.
All right, we'll go to George next on Zoom, and then I see others here in the room. George, go ahead, please.
Coach, the amount of injuries that you're having, does it make you put more pressure on Craig to get new signings? And how hard was it to watch the Vancouver Whitecaps celebrating the Cascadia Cup at home?
Well, we talked about that before the game. similar to what we do against Portland when we play there for the Cascadia Cup. I remind the players that the Cascadia Cup is important. It's important for the fans. It's the singular fan trophy in this league. So, they knew about it, and it is frustrating. We haven't won it since 2021. So yes, that's a problem. And, as far as Craig and Adrian and feeling pressure, yeah, they feel it. I don't need to say anything.
All right, we'll come back here in the room. Callahan, you're next. If there's others on this side of the room, please show hands.
Coach, obviously you don't control what Craig and Adrian do, but what can you do to inject some more life into this team in the coming games?
Well, I don't know if I need to inject more life. I need to figure out a way how those guys how they believe they can win, get them to, again, simplify their game. Sometimes you look at Paul, he's such a good example. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He does everything that you ask him to do. He works again, he runs, he fights, he battles. But, how do I help him in those moments where he needs to complete that final pass? Those are the little margins that we're talking about. And, yellow card, he gets a yellow card, and yeah, it was a yellow card, but then he goes and shakes the guy's hand. Well, Vancouver's not your friend. It's not your friend. Another player's down, Jackson Reagan's helping him up. Well, unfortunately, they're not your friends. So some of that kind of help is coming, and we'll see what happens.
All right, yeah, we'll go right here, and then back to Nico.
Coach, it was another game where the fans are very clearly frustrated and fed up. Another home game where fans are leaving minutes before the whistle. Once the first Vancouver goal went in, fans started getting up. What do you do on the pitch that is going to, win these fans back on or off the pitch?
Well, I'd be frustrated if I was a fan too. But the real fans are going to stick with us. We're going to get better. We're going to get guys back from injury. We're going to win some more games this year. So, I'm asking for a little bit of patience. But they paid the ticket. They paid the money. They can say what they need to say. They can boo. They can leave. That's fine. But the energy and the fight that the team will show, maybe that's something that they can latch onto. Players haven't given up on them. Players are still working. So hopefully the fans don't give up on the players.
All right, we'll start follow-ups here. Nico, go ahead with yours, please.
Coach, just was curious about what you thought about your substitutions today. Did it have the impact that you wanted? And was Snyder Burnell coming off? Was that tactical or was that physical?
It was precautionary. He's got a tight quad.
All right, coming back around this side, starting with Noah. Let's take a couple more.
Hey Coach, I want to talk about the number 9s. Obviously, neither Osaze nor Moose has really broken through in that scoring sense. Mark Bronick gets 2 today in his next pro match. Are we going to maybe see him in that rotation? What's that competition look like in that position?
Craig brought Mark Bronick up from Defiance. I think that wouldn't be a smart move. We need a little bit more than that. Bronick is a nice kid. We had him in, we brought him down to Mexico. I know who he is. He's got some good starting points, good young talent, but that's a bit much of a jump, in my opinion.
All right, Jeremiah, and then we'll close with Miles.
Yeah, I know you've sort of stuck with the formation here, and you stuck with the attacking group. Is there changes that you think you're going to have to make to either the formation or in the attack there to?
Yeah, we ended the game with a different formation, so everything's on the table. I mean, I wish I could look down on the bench and Seba's the first attacking sub that we got, Seba Gomez, and then there's Javi. There's Osaze.
All right, Miles, close it out.
You might not have the answer for this, but how do you teach creativity in that attacking, and yet at the same time be simple in how you play the game?
Well, the other day when we highlighted a couple of things that we did well against Querétaro and we scored some goals, it was youthful enthusiasm, it was Seba Gomez and, getting a goal and assist. But there was one play, Maz, that I know you'd appreciate. That's a simple soccer play and it's creative. It's called a give and go. 35 yards from goal, left-hand side, him and Jesus, Seba just plays it and runs. And he receives the ball back again, like he miscontrolled it and the defender got it. But it's simple things like that they do with a little bit of intensity in their movement and their desire to get beyond their opponent and closer to goal. Those are the things that we're lacking.
All right, we'll leave it there. Locker room